We have arrived at the end of the decade somehow. No, I don't get it either, but mainly I'm happy that I'm still alive. If you had told me in 2010, Simon, you'll make it to 2019, I would have given you 2 thumbs up. But as we do indeed move into 2020, there's only one thing we can do, well, 2 things. We've already done our best games of the decade. That's already up on the channel. You can check it out. So now we gotta do our worst games of the decade, and trust me, you ain't gonna like them at all. Let's do it. Number 10, Fighter Within. Fair play to Ubisoft. Despite trying the same thing with Kinect when it released Fighters Uncaged, in 2013 they released pretty much the same idea again, or this time it was called Fighter Within. The idea on paper sounded awesome too. You could control your character on screen using your own body, so when you punched, so did they. It was like being granted license to be an asshole, but you wouldn't get arrested. Amazingly, this looked pretty good too, which is important. Your eyes are the first thing to either attract or repel you to something. So when you saw Fighter Within, maybe you had a funny feeling in your pants. Makes you a bit weird, but whatever. Then you played the thing though, and as I did many years ago, you realized it was like being kicked in the same area. Motion controls barely work in the game menu, so when you're actually trying to win a fight, it is literally impossible. You have to flap around like a fish out of water as you yearn for a controller, and that was the real issue with this new motion technology. While it could be great, and sometimes was, it was never better than a pad, which had been around since 1433. To summarize, it was like playing Mortal Kombat, but you were a tomato. Imagine that scenario, and you have a pretty good idea about Fighter Within. Number 9, Rambo the video game. Wait. Who put this in it? Did you ever play Rambo the video game? It was flipping brilliant. It was absolutely excellent. I don't care that it only got 33% on Metacritic. What does that even mean? It's just a bunch of nerds getting mad because they didn't understand greatness. Seriously, take this away. Here we go. Throwing it away. Rambo is so good, and I mean that. I'm not joking around. I reviewed it for videogamer.com, which you can read right now, and I gave it Rambo out of 10. This was wonderful. Number 9, Alone in the Dark Illumination. I mean, this is bad straight away because the subtitle is Illumination, and it's meant to be a horror game. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? Is a light going to chase you? Oh, light, chase me down a creepy hallway. There's a reason Alone in the Dark vanished in 2015, and it was because of this. The real shame was that in many ways, the series was responsible for the model that launched survivor horror into the stratosphere, and yet here, we were being slapped in the face for ever caring. I mean, not only was it basically broken, but it copied games like Left 4 Dead at a time where we didn't need more zombie titles. Furthermore, it wasn't scary. That's like your only job, and you failed. It also pitched itself as an online co-op third-person shooter too, and I remember when I tried to jump into a multiplayer match, I couldn't because nobody else was on the servers. So shout out to Jack0912, you know who you are. You're the only person I could ever find to play this nonsense with. I'm an idiot. Number 7, Aliens Colonial Marines. We all know this story, and it really starts and ends with a trailer we were shown, and then what we got at the end of all of that. It was basically one big trick, and the fallout was even worse. I mean, Gearbox were yelling at people, and Sega were yelling at people. There were rumors the whole thing had been outsourced. The original team worked on Borderlands. It was just terrible, as was the game itself. It lacked any of the scares or intensity that we'd been promised, and was an absolute mess when you tried to play it. I mean, aliens would walk up to you and stare in your face like they wanted a conversation. Now compare that to Alien Isolation, which came out years later, and that was so terrifying, it made you want to cry. It was like night and day. It also had some bonkers story that deliberately tried to swerve you so much that by the end of the game, it has broken its own narrative. If you're ever bored, just go and look at some common threads at the time. It's like the end of the world happening in front of your eyes. Number 6, Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. I mean, this came out on the Wii U, so you already know that something was up, but I am 99% sure that when this was being made, whoever was involved was more distracted by that horrendous title. Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. I mean, what does that mean? Rise of Lyric is barely a sentence. It was a tie-in to a series airing on the Cartoon Network, and of course it was aimed at kids, but still, like a lot of games on this list, it is almost impossible to play because it's so glitchy. And on top of that, it's just so uninspired. I didn't even like Sonic, and I felt sorry for franchise fans who were always going to play this because, you know, Sonic fans, they can't help themselves. It also suffered because people kept making Sonic himself a right asshole with these terrible one-liners, and there's no sense of speed, which is what Sonic was all about with to begin with. This came out in 2014, and nobody was even talking about it in 2015. I don't know why I'm talking about it now. Number 5, Animal Crossing New Leaf. Yeah, that's right, hitting the Nintendo 3DS in 2012. Most Animal Crossing fans love this, but that's before you remember Tom Nook, a corrupt capitalist money-grabbing asshole, goes out of his way to lock you into financial deals that you were never going to be able to sort out, meaning you would be indebted to him forever. And I, for one, am not going to stand for this anymore, hence why New Leaf gets into this list. It's not right, and putting Animal Crossing onto a portable device was just another way for these dark arts to sink their wicked teeth into your cash-desperate veins. Tom Nook is a dick. In reality, this was fine. Number 4, Mass Effect Andromeda. So this is a little harsh because the would-be Mass Effect 4 is not actually that bad. It's a serviceable experience that mostly lacks inspiration more than anything else. The problem though is what it not only meant for Mass Effect, but BioWare in general. I think it's fair to say that Mass Effect was one of the best trilogies of the decade, no matter what you thought about entry number 3's ending. Yeah, I know, kid, shut up. But Andromeda doesn't have any of that magic. It barely felt like the series, if we're honest, and it's just so dry. I mean, why didn't we leave this after we had decided that Commander Shepard was going to hang it up and walk into the distance? It was always going to be tough to balance out, and that's what we found. It's just a bunch of characters that weren't as interesting, and nor did we have any history with them. It's just really sad. It had such a poor impact, I don't think we'll ever see another Mass Effect game again. And if that isn't enough to break your heart, well, you have a very, very strong heart. Number 3, Ride to Hell Retribution. This is just shite. In fact, it's so bad, you should actually go and play it because you won't be able to believe it at all. I wouldn't say it's so bad it's good, but it is so bad that you can't call yourself a human until you've experienced it for at least 10 minutes. And yes, that's a dumb thing to say, but deal with it, it's done now. Set around a biker gang who want to seek revenge after somebody's brother is murdered, it is shocking. Every line of dialogue is delivered like it's a comedy, animations don't exist, and you can't engage in combat because combat doesn't work. And then there are the sex scenes. If you're not going to play, then just YouTube them, but my word, they are so crass, so unnecessary, and just so awful. If it turned out that the development studio had been hijacked by horny 13-year-old boys who went on to finish this, I would believe it. It is crap. Number 2, Dark Souls. All right, look, calm down. Remember, this is my list. It's just an opinion. And if you have been watching my content throughout this decade, you'll know my feelings on Dark Souls. And if you don't, it's nice and simple. While I respect the love for the series, I totally believe that the original game was actually broken on a fundamental level, and yet fans spun it to pretend that this was how it was meant to play, which then spurned a whole new genre in the process. If nothing else, I don't want to spend my life, which will end one day and see me dead in the ground, running over the same bridge again and again and again and again and again and again to try and kill the squat demon or whatever the hell it would be called. And I understand the satisfaction you can get at the end, but I can get that same feeling eating a donut. And that is cheaper and that is easier because it tastes nicer. In short, I just don't get mad every time I play it, and don't feel like it works on any level. Plus, it is the greyest game I've ever played, which makes me feel sad in my bones. See? Bad all around. Number 1, Dark Souls 2. Mainly because even after the first, somebody greenlit the second. That should never have happened. It should have been killed in 2011, and yet it came back again, which also saw like Bloodborne and Sekiro and Dark Souls 3. They all came this decade, and I didn't need any of that. And I played every one, which says a lot about me. I am an absolute moron. And that's that. That's my worst game of the decade. Obviously, the top 2 are a little bit of a joke. Don't get too mad. I'm just trolling you. That's what I do. Troll, lol. But yeah, like the video, share the video. Please do subscribe as we head on over to 100,000. If we ever get there, I could just stop in my tracks after this. Who knows? Also got a Patreon, patreon.com/Simon316. That's how I'm able to do all these videos. But thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.